The 2026 Upper Austria Ladies Linz Open draw carries 28 confirmed players. Ekaterina Alexandrova arrives as defending champion, seeded first, carrying the full weight of that title into Austria. Klara Tauson is there. Ludmila Samsonova is there. Emma Raducanu is there. Yelena Ostapenko is in that draw. A field loaded with elite-level talent, ranked players, Grand Slam pedigree, and years of professional experience on every surface imaginable. And yet somehow, before a single serve has been struck in Linz, before the first toss, before the first rally, before anyone even boards a flight to Austria, the conversation surrounding this tournament is not about any of them. It is about merchandise. It is about a limited edition Nike collection inspired by the national flower of the Philippines. It is about the fact that every item sold out completely before the tournament even began. And somewhere in Mallorca, Spain, a 22-time Grand Slam champion, the man who chose her as the person he wanted on the other side of the net when he finally picked up a racket again after retirement, is reportedly at a genuine loss for words. Let's go back to the beginning because this story has a beginning that most people do not know, and it matters more than the sellout headline. It did not start as a commercial campaign. It was not a marketing strategy dreamed up in a boardroom. It started as a gesture, a personal one. When Eala made her Wimbledon main draw debut in July 2025, Nike did something quietly extraordinary. They gave her a gift. A custom white hair tie shaped into the sampaguita blossom, the national flower of the Philippines. A small white bloom with deep roots in Filipino cultural identity, officially designated the country's national flower since 1934. The hair tie arrived in a minimalist white box alongside a handwritten note from Nike. Every dream begins as a seed. Nike Philippines confirmed publicly that the piece had been made exclusively for Eala, not commercially available, not for sale. A one-off, symbolic, deeply personal gesture connecting a young woman from Manila to the most famous grass court in the world. She wore it against defending Wimbledon champion Barbara Krejcikova on center court. She lost in 3 sets in a match that went the full distance and showcased exactly why she belongs at that level. But the moment those white petals appeared on the grass at the All England Club, the response from Filipinos globally was something Nike had not fully calculated. The emotion it generated was not ordinary fan excitement. It was something closer to national recognition. The feeling of seeing your identity honored in a space that has historically felt inaccessible, on a stage that has historically felt out of reach. Comment sections filled. Shares multiplied. The sampaguita blossom became a symbol that transcended tennis and connected to something much older and much deeper. Nike posted a single line after the match. "The bloom has just begun." That was not corporate copy. That was a brand reading a moment with extraordinary accuracy. Within weeks, Nike commissioned Manila-based artist Georgina Kimu to translate that symbolism into a full commercial release. The result was the Nike Bayou in Full Bloom collection, the sampaguita flower rendered across a t-shirt design overlaid on the image of a tennis court, released through the official Nike retailer in the Philippines alongside a matching tote bag and cap. Kimu described her design as a symbol of discipline, courage, and full-circle growth, created to inspire the next generation to bloom in their own time. Eala wore the collection on the cover of a major Filipino fashion publication in a shoot that captured something the numbers cannot fully convey. A young woman who is simultaneously a global athletic brand, a cultural icon, and just a 20-year-old from Manila who cannot quite believe how far the dream has carried her. The collection sold out. Units appeared on resale platforms almost immediately after. Multiple sizes, men's and women's, brand new with tags, being flipped by resellers who understood exactly what the demand data was already showing. That is not what happens around a player with a moderate following and a regional fan base. That is what happens around a cultural phenomenon. That is what happens when an athlete stops being just an athlete and becomes a symbol of something that millions of people are personally and emotionally invested in. And now that Nike collection, the sampaguita, the bloom, the flower that started as a gift in a white box before her Wimbledon debut, is sold out ahead of Linz. Before Austria. Before a single point of clay court tennis has been played in 2026. The merchandise moved before the match. That sentence needs to sit for a moment, because it tells you something about Eala's commercial reality that rankings and tournament draws simply cannot capture. Now, let's talk about why Nadal is speechless. And to understand that, you need to know what this relationship actually looks like from his side. It started at an airport, not at the academy, not on a tennis court, at Madrid airport, when Eala was 12 years old and her family was traveling to Mallorca to trial at the Rafael Nadal Academy. They ran into him. Eala, by her own account, was starstruck in the way that 12-year-olds are when they encounter the person they have idolized their entire sporting life. Completely overwhelmed, not composed, barely functioning. Her family chased him down. She got a photograph. That was the beginning, awkward, wide-eyed, and nothing remotely like the player she has since become. She trained at the Rafael Nadal Academy for years, graduating in 2023. Through that entire stretch, Nadal followed her progress. He sent personal congratulatory messages during her electrifying Miami Open semi-final run in March 2025, when she dismantled Madison Keys, Jelena Ostapenko, and Iga Swiatek back-to-back. He messaged her when she reached her first WTA final at Eastbourne in June. He was there when she claimed her first WTA title in Guadalajara in September. He described her publicly as someone he was happy and proud of, for herself and for the Philippines. She once described him in terms that tell you everything about how she sees the relationship. He is so grounded, and he has achieved more than anything I could dream of. And the fact that he is still so nice to everyone around him is very admirable. That is not fan language. That is the language of someone who has watched a great person operate up close and been shaped by what they observed. Then came November 19, 2025. Exactly 1 year to the day since his final match at the Davis Cup Finals in Malaga, Rafael Nadal walked back onto a tennis court for the first time since retirement. The Rafael Nadal Academy's official account described it as a truly unique day. The footage released showed the two of them exchanging long baseline rallies, working through drills on an indoor court in Manacor, laughing between exchanges. A 22-time Grand Slam champion who could have chosen anyone, any veteran, any marquee name, any established tour player, chose the nervous 12-year-old who once chased him down at an airport. Now ranked inside the world's top 30. Now a WTA Finals finalist. Now a title winner. Now a Nike sellout phenomenon before she had even arrived in Austria. Nadal posted afterward, with a wink. 1 year later, it felt great to be back on a tennis court. It was great to practice with you, Eala. Next time I will be stronger, she replied simply. Back like you never left. The speechless part is not a single moment caught on camera at a press conference. It is the accumulation. It is watching a kid who is too nervous to speak to you at an airport become the person filling stadiums at midnight in the California desert. It is watching the girl you mentored become the subject of sold-out Nike collections before she has even arrived at her first clay court tournament of the season. It is watching a 12-year-old's dream grow into something that a 22-time Grand Slam champion finds genuinely difficult to put into words. That is what speechless looks like when it is earned. Now let's talk about what Linz actually means, because the sellout and the Nadal connection tell one story, and the tennis tells another, and both of them matter. Eala arrives in Austria carrying specific weight. After her round of 16 loss to Karolina Muchova at Miami, a 6-0, 6-2 result that dropped her from 29th to around 45th in the rankings, she has lost 270 points. She cannot recover without results on clay. The Linz draw features 28 players, and she enters without seeding. Her clay record coming in is honest about the challenge she faces. In 2025, across 4 clay tournaments, she posted a 2-4 win-loss record, losing in the first round at Roland Garros, the round of 128 at the Italian Open, and the round of 64 at Madrid. The one positive was a round of 16 finish at a smaller clay event in Arras. Her Czech curse follows her off the hard courts too. She now sits at 0 wins and 12 losses against Czech opposition across all surfaces, one of the most documented patterns in her recent career. The last 2 of those losses came against Linda Noskova at Indian Wells and Muchova at Miami, both by identical 6-0, 6-2 scorelines. The red dirt has not given her what the hard courts have. Not yet. She said it herself after Miami. Clay is one surface where I definitely have a lot of room for improvement. But she said something else too, and this is the part that matters more. Her mindset heading into Austria reflects exactly the quality that carried her to a stadium full of midnight flags in Miami a year ago. She spoke about not putting everything on the line at a single tournament, about knowing that if she does not get the win here, she will get it somewhere else. That is the language of a player who has learned the difference between pressure and importance. And that distinction, more than any technical adjustment, is what separates players who perform in big moments from those who are consumed by them. The Linz surface adds a genuine variable worth noting. This is the first year the tournament runs on indoor clay, having previously been held on hard courts. That means nobody in that draw, not Alexandrova defending her title, not Ostapenko, not Raducanu, has specific surface experience at this exact venue. The indoor setting removes wind and weather from the equation, which actually favors Eala's aggressive baseline game more than outdoor clay would. She hits a heavy ball. She generates pace from the left side that creates real problems for opponents who prefer controlling the point. On slower outdoor clay, that pace gets neutralized. On indoor clay, it stays a weapon. The playing field in Linz is more level than the rankings suggest. The ranking mathematics are also compelling. She has almost nothing to defend across the entire clay swing. In 2025, she collected just 3 wins across 4 clay tournaments. A single semi-final run at Linz would deliver 195 ranking points and restore her trajectory toward the top 30. A title would be transformative. The points are there to be earned, and the draw, while stacked with quality, does not put her on a collision course with the top seeds until the later rounds. After Linz, Madrid awaits from April 21st through May 3rd, then the Italian Open, then Roland Garros. A clay season stretching across 6 weeks of European tennis. And across every single one of those weeks, the commercial story running parallel to the athletic one will continue building. The industry conversation comparing her trajectory to Emma Raducanu's post-2021 explosion is already active. Both players share something structurally valuable: enormous fan bases in markets that global brands have historically struggled to penetrate. Their combined economies collectively represent over 650 million people. Tennis has never had a durable local hero embedded at the elite level in those markets. Eala is that hero now. And commercial ecosystems respond to that kind of opportunity at a speed that ranking tables simply do not match. Sky Sports lead presenter Gigi Salmon captured it bluntly at a tennis event earlier this year. In terms of her appeal, the crowds that follow her, she might already be the biggest star. That assessment was not about Grand Slam titles or ranking points. It was about something that the sold-out Nike collection, the midnight crowds in the California desert, and Nadal choosing her as his first practice partner back from retirement are all pointing towards simultaneously a level of cultural significance that exists beyond the sport and shapes the sport's future from the outside in. Tony Nadal, Rafael's uncle and a cornerstone of the Academy's coaching philosophy for decades, offered an assessment with the precision you would expect from someone who has spent a career identifying what separates good players from generational ones. Once she gets her game right, he said, she could be among the best in the world. That is not promotional language from an affiliated party. That is a technical evaluation from inside the same system that produced the greatest clay court player in the history of a sport. And it is an assessment about potential, not about a ceiling already reached. The Linz Open is the first public answer to a question that no amount of Nike sellouts, Nadal practice sessions, or midnight stadium moments can answer in advance. Can she transfer what she does on hard courts to a surface that demands a different kind of patience, a different kind of construction, a different kind of trust in the process when the ball is coming back 2 shots deeper into the point than she is used to? The indoor setting helps. The ranking opportunity is real. The mental foundation she has demonstrated across a breakthrough 2025 season and a strong 2026 Sunshine Double is genuine. But red clay is an honest surface. It does not reward what you wish you could do.